years, and I turn my pain to purpose by starting my own 501c3 nonprofit that gives back.
Welcome back to the channel, y'all. I'm your host, Isaiah.
I'm your host, Patrick Brantley.
And today, we're here in beautiful Tampa, Florida, here at the Mona Enclave. Thank you to John. He's right here, coming in the video. He's right here. I don't know what he's doing. Thank you for John for inviting us out here. He's actually playing the card at this event.
I am.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be dope. Boy, it's going to be amazing.
Now, I just got to say, man, these guys are killing it, crushing it. We're in there, and honestly, I think some of my ways are kind of like, going to them.
Of course.
I'm the type of go up to anyone I'll talk to them, and I always try to make something happen. And there's 2 Bucks players here, and I go up to people, I'm like, did you guys get the interviews? Like, we did.
We did.
Oh, wait, I wasn't going to say it. Y'all will see it in the video.
Y'all see it in the video, though. But,
today, we're not only going to be interviewing millionaires, but we actually have our first billionaire today. And
with the
billionaire with a B. So very excited for that. Like John mentioned, we have 2 Bucks players, and we have a very successful insurance agent out of St. Pete that we're looking forward to showing you. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what your favorite interview was today, and hit that post noti bell for us, bro. Let's go.
This shit gonna be good.
All right, who do I have the pleasure of speaking with today?
My name is King Singh. I'm 11 years old, and at the age of 2, I was diagnosed with blood cancer, also known as leukemia, a rare blood disease called G6PD. I took chemotherapy every single day for 3.5 years, and I turned my pain to purpose by starting my own 501c3 nonprofit that gives back to families with a child fighting life-threatening illness.
Wow, that is beautiful. That is amazing. So, what exactly made you start this foundation?
Because there weren't that many toys in the toy closet for me when I was going through my cancer treatment, so I wanted to do that for other children and make sure that they have some toys to play with.
That is beautiful.
Because sometimes the hospital stays can be very long.
Yes. How do you stay positive through everything that you're going through?
Because I have a supportive family, and I just tell myself all the time to never give up, stay strong, anything is possible. I can do anything I put my mind to.
How important has your father been in your process and your positivity and who you are today?
My entire family has been very important to me because they support me with everything that I do.
Important is it to believe in yourself.
It's very important to believe in yourself, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you today.
Out there, kid, teenager, or adult that has just been diagnosed with some form of cancer, what is one thing that you could tell them to let them know that it is going to be okay?
Like what I tell everyone, to never give up, stay strong, anything is possible, and you can do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
For the National Cancer Foundation for sponsoring this event. The 12 brave kids that was diagnosed with cancer. They're all brave warriors. I really appreciate them.
All right, who do I have the pleasure of speaking with today?
Lorenz Metz and Raiqwononeal.
Yes, sir. So obviously you guys are NFL players. So the first question to the both of you would be, how did you guys first get recognized?
Yeah, so I actually started playing football in 2016 in Germany. Played there for 2 years. Got noticed by a guy named Brandon Collier. He now has PPI. He's premier player internationals, and he brings about 20 kids over each year.
The way I got recognized was I played ball at Rutgers and I grad transferred to UCLA. And that's what started my journey. I was undrafted by Tampa Bay. Then I got claimed off practice squad from Seattle. So then I was in Seattle for a year. Now I'm back with the Bucks.
Yes, sir. So you mentioned that you were undrafted, and you being from a different country where football usually isn't recognized in a lot of other countries. What would you say the one thing that separated you from your competition to be able to make it to the NFL?
Yeah, I think definitely my size, right, and my willingness to work. I think, just showing up and doing the right things every day, and, even coming to events like this and supporting the community and giving back. I think that's a big selling point.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, similar to what Lorenz said. Same things like giving back to the community where you came from, being that inspiration to the youth and the adolescents in the community who don't have a light they don't know who to look up to, so they can look up to us and say, we came from where you came from and we made it out. We made our own way.
Yes, sir. So, at what age would you say that you guys both realized that the NFL was a true possibility?
I'll say when I knew the NFL was a true possibility, when I started playing in the college level. When I became a starter. So I'll say that's when it started for me.
Sure.
I mean, for me, obviously, coming from Germany, I didn't really know a whole lot about, college Division I football. But I just, kept my head down, worked, and, then things fall into place and you'll be able to achieve anything. So.
Yes, sir. And one last question for the both of you. If you could talk to your younger self, whether that be high school, middle school, or, elementary school, what is one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Keep God first.
Yes,
That's
sir.
a big thing. Keep
Yes,
God
sir.
first, and then everything else will take care of itself.
Yes, sir.
There's going to be ups and downs, and I think just persevere through it. And, sometimes there's going to be times where you want to quit, and you just got to keep going and push through the hard things because they're going to be there the whole life. So.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you.
All right, who am I here with today?
My name is Austin Medlin.
Hey, Austin. What line of business are you in?
I own a sales consulting company.
Okay, now what's the most amount of money you've ever made in a single year?
That'll be this year.
And how much is that?
You should do right around $5 million.
5 million?
Yeah.
Ooh. So I'm 20 years old and he's 21 years old.
Hell yeah.
What advice would you give to us that's just starting out and wants to be in your position?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that sets apart people who become successful, and successful is relative, right? Some people think 100 grand a year is successful. Some people think 100 grand a week is successful. Everybody's a little bit different. But the difference is up here. It's not really the vehicle you're in. It's not really, the only thing that matters is mindset. Like mindset, if you want it, you can have it. You just have to realize that whatever you want is possible, right? You're God's highest form of creation. You can do, have, and be anything you want in this world, but you have to first believe that it's even possible. If you don't believe it's possible, you're not going to take the actions every single day and do the inputs to eventually get the outcomes and the results that you're looking for.
Okay. Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Okay. How important has God been in your success?
I wouldn't say that I'm actively like reading the Bible and applying those principles every single day, but I think Christianity teaches you the act in the skill of discipline. And I'm radically disciplined in my life. For example, I went out to dinner last night, had a client in town. As soon as I got home, 10 o'clock, right back to work. Opened up the computer, grinded out till like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. Woke up early this morning, grinded out a few hours of work before coming out here to the car club. So I have the very strong skill of discipline. And I think that by studying the Bible, Christianity, it can teach you that skill of discipline.
Okay. And then, usually on the internet, there's people that have like lifestyle videos where they wake up 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
Do you believe that you have to wake up early
No.
to get ahead of yourself?
No. Everybody's different, right? Humans are dynamic, and this is what makes me so good at sales. Humans are dynamic, meaning everybody's a little bit different. They think different, they act different. Some are motivated by pain, some are motivated by fear, some are motivated to hit their goals, right? So everybody's different, and I think that there's these people on the internet that have these like blanket policies. Like you must get up at this time, go to bed at this time. When you wake up, you have to do this very strict routine, bang, bang, bang. That's just not how it works at all whatsoever. You don't need to do any of those things to actually become successful. What will make you successful is figuring it out of what works for you. What works for me is up at 5:15, and then I'm in the gym by 6 a.m., and then I can work the rest of the day from 9 until about midnight. That's what works for me. But that doesn't work for everybody else. Some people might have kids, some people might have a family, some people might have a different schedule. That's irrelevant. You don't need to do what the people on the internet are telling you. You have to figure out how to become highly effective in your own life, independent of what the fuck everybody else is telling you. Forget what the people say, figure out what works for you, execute on it every single day with discipline, you'll get to where you want to go.
Now, how important is consistency to you? Because
the most.
The most?
I mean, bro, imagine this, right? You go to the gym for one day, you going to lose weight?
No.
Fuck no.
No.
Right?
Of course
but if you
not.
go to the gym every day or 4 or 5 times, 6 times a week, over and over and over and over again, it's called the compound effect, right? So there's a great book I read, it's called The Slight Edge, and then there's another one called The Compound Effect. They're basically the same book, just written in different words by different authors, but mean the same thing. It's the small daily habits compounded over time that lead you to where you want to go, right? So if you do something once, great. If you do it twice, even better. You do it 3 times, even better. And the longer you can stay consistent doing the inputs day in and day out without worrying about the outcomes, the better off you'll be. Most people want to build a business, but they try it for a day, a week, a month. They don't make $1 million. Like, oh, this isn't for me. I'll just go back to being an employee. Most people want to get in shape. They go to the gym a couple weeks, they're super sore, and then they're like, nah, it's just not working. I don't have big muscles yet. And then they give up and they quit, right? So the only way to get to where you want to go is to put in consistent daily actions called inputs every single day, and those inputs will stack and compound over time, right? Yesterday, I posted on my Instagram, I posted this watch, right? So
Beautiful watch.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a $22,000 Breitling, diamonds around the bezel, right? And then it was me driving my McLaren. So I'm wearing a $22,000 watch. I'm driving a $250,000 car, and the caption just said, "This is the result of daily inputs compounded over time." That's what makes me successful by the world's eyes. Is just the fact that I can be disciplined enough to be consistent enough for a long enough period of time, so the results can finally catch up over time.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And what does that mean? Like, is there like certain traits I have to be in sales, or like just anyone can be in sales?
I think anybody can be in sales if you're willing to get punched in the face over and over and over again, right? It's not easy. You're not just going to wake up and sell people and make $1 million tomorrow. You got to be willing to get told no. You got to be willing to look stupid. You got to be willing to do the work over and over and over without seeing a result. Like, my first bid in sales sucked. I sucked. You know, people were telling me, no, I'm spending all this time, I'm getting paid nothing in commissions, and it was really tough. But again, back to that skill of discipline and just keep going and going and going. Eventually it catches up over time. And then when I got really good, it was like my income was like a couple grand a month and then straight to 20 grand a month. Like a hockey stick, like nothing, and all at once. It happened. Most people quit when they're down here and they don't realize how close they are to that rocket ship. You seen that photo where the 2 guys are mining for the gold?
Yeah.
And the one guy's mining and he turns around, he's got his pickaxe and the gold was right there. He just stopped early. And then you have the other guy who's swinging the axe and he's getting towards the gold. Right? So most people, they just end up quitting before they ever get to the gold. And what I realize is most people are a lot closer than they think. I know right now you could be 20, right? Maybe you got a net worth of a couple hundred, couple thousand, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever. But it becomes difficult to fathom what that looks like in the future. So what I did was I just constantly surrounded myself with people way more successful than myself. People that had the Lambos, people that had the yachts, people that had the jets. I just networked and surrounded myself with those people. And every time I did that, I was like, bro, if these people could do this, I could do this. This guy, this girl, they're not that smart. They're not that special. They're not that talented. But they've just been doing it longer. They've gotten told no more. They've gotten punched in the face more. And they didn't quit. They kept going. And I was like, well, shit, I could do that. And then that's what I started doing. And that's how it worked out.
Last question.
Of course.
You know, I'm 20, he's 21, like I said previously, and you know, we're trying to start an entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
What's that most common mistake that, you know, young entrepreneurs make?
Give up and quit.
Give up and quit?
Give up. If you don't quit, you can't lose.
You can't quit.
If you don't quit, you can't lose. That's the thing. It's like, and think about this, right? You said you're 20?
Yeah, 20.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't make my first million until I was 30. I'm now 31.
Oh,
So
wow.
I mean, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, but I wasn't ever in really the right vehicle until I turned 25. And that's when I got in the world of online high ticket coaching sales. I got really good at sales. I started making like 20, 30, 40 grand a month. And then I realized in order to scale to that next level, I had to do something different where I could get more cash for my time. We call that leverage. So I needed more leverage. So I started my own sales consulting company, closesales.com, where I could teach people everything I had learned after all these years. Now I can leverage at a much higher rate, make a lot more money. But dude, you're young. You just have to keep going and going and going and being a sicko, relentlessly pushing and pushing and pushing. It's impossible to not get what you want.
I'm here with Aaron. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, Aaron, you're obviously a very successful looking man. Would you mind telling the people what you do for business?
So I'm the owner of Direct Components, obsolete and hard to find electronic component distributor here in Tampa.
Yes, sir. And for the people out there that don't know what you guys do, could you briefly explain to them what you do?
Sure. So we're a broker of high-end integrated circuit chips. Manufacturers of circuit boards run short on parts, and we go out and find them for the customers.
Yes, sir. And if you don't mind me asking, what is the most amount of money you've made in a single year?
Rather not disclose that.
Rather not disclose that.
More than $100 though.
Yes, sir. So Obviously, you have a very successful company. You're a very successful man. What is the biggest failure you've had to encounter, and what did you do to bounce back from that?
Good question. I guess I've learned a lot through trial and error over almost 30 years of being in this business. I think one of the things that I would go back and change, or that I've had to learn from, was not networking enough, kind of staying in a silo and trying to learn this on my own. So, I think that's something that I failed. So I decided to put myself out there and go to shows and meet up with people in the industry and learn a lot more from them. So that really helped a lot.
Sure. And is legacy important to you? And if so, what do you want yours to be?
Of course, legacy is important to me. Matter of fact, in 2022, I started a foundation called the Nursey Foundation. And so we work with other nonprofits that are in the Tampa Bay area, and we help them grow. And we also give them cash to be able to continue to keep doing what they're doing. So that's going to be my legacy. Business come and go, money comes and goes. Really, family, I think, is important, and being able to give back and help people. So that's been a big part of my time, is to give back and really help people in the Tampa Bay area.
Yes, sir. One more question for you, sir. If you lost everything today, are you confident you would be able to make it back?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I mean, you can drop me off in the middle of the Everglades, I'm going to come out with alligator boots.
Where does that confidence come from, sir?
I don't know. Just from doing it for so long, and just failure's not an option, and you just got to keep going. I mean, just never stop. So,
yes, sir.
Today.
Mpastrikos.
Okay, and what line of business are you in?
I'm actually in the health and life insurance space.
Okay, now what's the most amount of money you've ever made in this industry?
It's a good amount, man. Over 6 last year.
Over 6 last year?
Yeah.
Okay. And what advice would you give to someone that's 20 years old and just starting out?
What advice? There's a lot of advice that I've gone throughout my career. A couple things I would say is stay humble. Another one would be delay gratification. A lot of people, when they first start out, start making money in the industry that they're in, they do their own thing, is they want to flash the cars, the bling bling, the nice trips, the vacations. Always delay your gratification until you've actually made it in the space and you start generating residual income. One thing I would say is reinvest back into yourself and your business. Whatever you're making when you first start off, reinvest it right back in. It's going to grow your business at a more rapid rate. Don't try to move out fast. If you live with your parents, stay with your parents as long as possible. They're there to support you, and listen to adults, man. Don't think you know everything. That's definitely something I messed up with when I first started, was not listening to my elders or my upline or people that have been successful in that business for a long time. Listen to what they're telling you, because most of the time they're correct and you're not.
Okay. And then what was that one thing that really changed your mindset? Because you started this business when you was 18. So what? You're 18, just getting out of high school. Usually still have that childish mindset. What was that one thing that changed it?
I guess I would say, like, watching my dad do the work he's in. He's a construction worker, and watching him work those tiring days and long mornings, late nights. I mean, and him suffering out in the sun and all that stuff. I really didn't want to be like him at all. So I guess for me, what it was just I know my worth, and I want more out of my life. And I didn't feel like I should go to school to listen to a professor that's making 75 grand teaching me how to do business, or teaching me how to run my life. So I took action. I decided to go self-employed and join the insurance industry, and from there it's been on the up, man.
Did you always want to be a business owner?
No, not at all. I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer growing up, obviously, being an immigrant, and parents having a lot of expectations. If you're an immigrant and you're not a doctor or a lawyer, they kind of feel some sort of way. So it kind of just came to me once I realized what the potential was being a business owner, and the freedom that I have. I can work my own hours. I can buy things without looking at the price tag. I can do all these things that if I was working a W-2 job or working under somebody else, I really wouldn't be able to. So that kind of really made me realize that this actually has potential, and I really got to take advantage of it.
Okay, and then do you read books?
I do read books.
Okay, is it more beneficial for us to read books than listen to podcasts?
I actually recommend both. I recommend both.
Why is that?
I like books because it tells a story of the person. The person can really relate with that person. But with podcasts, I like podcasts because you hear other people explain their stories, and it just kind of resonates a little bit more with you. There's this one podcast on Spotify. I think it's called My First Million. And it's this guy from California. He sits down and talks to people, you know, and they tell you their story about how they made their first million. And a lot of the stuff that you hear within those podcasts, it's going to be the same things over and over. And you start seeing a trend. Everybody uses the same blueprint, and that blueprint works across whatever industry they're in. So I highly recommend both. I actually started listening to podcasts on the drive home, on the drive to work in the morning whenever I come in, and it's helped me mindset-wise quite a bit, actually. So highly recommend both. Books-wise, I recommend you guys read How to Stop Caring and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. That's a good book there. Highly recommend that one. It basically just tells you how to not give a fuck about anything else but your fucking life, man, and get after it. Highly recommend.
And then another question. You know, usually when people want to start a business, they usually care what their family and what their friends think, right? So what made you not care what your friends or family think?
Man, I feel like I'm 21, but I feel like I've fucking lived a whole fucking life, bro. Friends are never going to be there for you, bro. Friends don't really care about you, and they don't really care about you or your life or what you do. The moment you realize that the only real people that are going to be there for you are going to be your parents, like, just wrong with that, man. I mean, friends really aren't there to support you. And when I started realizing that, it was like towards like the end of high school, possibly, or like early college maybe. Friends aren't going to be there for you, bro. So just cut out the distractions and focus on yourself. Everything else will come in time. You know, there's a saying that says, a client will become your friend faster than a friend will become your client. And that's a big thing right there, bro. And that's true. Aren't there for the ride, bro. You're gonna lose a lot of friends, especially if you're working hard.
Who am I here with today?
I'm Dave Fraser. I'm the CEO of the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation.
And what line of business is that?
It's a nonprofit that raises awareness and funds to find better treatments for kids with cancer.
What made you start this?
I didn't start it. It was started over 30 years ago by two moms that had children that were battling cancer. They met in the hospital. And they said, hey, what are we going to do about this disease? Are we going to raise money to send kids to Disney or buy teddy bears? Or are we going to raise money to spend it on advanced technology and research? So that's been our motive ever since, is to do that. And that's what we do.
Now that you mentioned that you was part of a nonprofit. You're the CEO of the nonprofit, correct? How does that interline with entrepreneurship?
That's a great question. You know, some people think nonprofit is about not very entrepreneurial, but I completely disagree with that. We are nothing but entrepreneurs. So one of the ways that we do business is we take people's passion and we try to turn that into a marketing campaign that, one, raises awareness, but also raises money to support our mission. So for like an example, you were here at Fashion Fun Secure tonight. Well, people like fashion. People like getting dressed and looking good, or getting their suit painted, like the gentleman over there, right? And so how do you take that passion of fashion and say, okay, what can we do with that? Well, let's turn that into an event and have all types of different activities related to it, like fancy cars or things like that we had tonight, and get people to donate because they feel good about what the organization is doing. That's cause marketing. It's the best. That's entrepreneurial. It's the best. How can you take a product or service that has maybe no ROI or attributes today and turn it into something that is a profit machine?
Would you say 20, 30, 40 years ago, you would see yourself doing what you're doing today?
Oh, definitely. I'm a retired Air Force officer, so my whole life has been nothing about service. I would encourage youth of America today to serve first. Do something that gives service to others versus service to self. Entrepreneurs can do that. Whatever you make your product or service from an entrepreneurial perspective can be used to serve good. You know, if you get it and you're doing well, take 10% of your proceeds and give back to something in your community and change your community for the betterment.
Now, what's one piece of advice would you have for like a 20-year-old that's just starting out and they're trying to get to your position?
Oh, another great question. You're on it. Just keep striving. Don't stop. When somebody says, no, we can't do that, then don't accept that answer. Listen to them and figure out why they're saying that, but figure out the solution to how you can not stop and keep doing what you're doing. And just keep going. And one day, you'll hit it, and it'll work. And you'll look back and you'll say, the best lesson I ever had was not stopping.
Who am I here with today?
Bradolo. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Brad. Are you the owner of Motor Enclave?
I am the owner of Motor Enclave.
Okay, so what is the most amount of money you've made in a single year?
Say over 50 million.
50 million?
Uh, what is something that you would say took your business from 6 to 7 figures?
Several things. I think the grind, working harder than every single person I know. So my whole career is just like I look at everybody else and I say I'm gonna work harder than every person I meet. Got to be there before them and stay there longer. And networking, just having the right network and meeting the right people is number two. And number three is integrity. Like your word is your bond, so you shake someone's hand and you got to follow through. If you don't, no one's gonna ever believe in you and follow you for years and years and years. And you want to build a crazy place like this, even to support you, you need to have investors, people that trust you and believe in your vision, and that's what happened here.
Okay. So then, Brad, what really changed your mindset from? I'm assuming you didn't grow up rich, right? You grew up poor. So what really changed your mindset for you to get to where you are right now?
I would say my mindset's always been entrepreneurial since I was a kid. So I always wanted to have my own money so I could control my own destiny. I always wanted to just work hard, and the reason I'm in the automotive business now is because I always wanted to have a certain car. So when I was 13, I knew that when I was 16, I wanted to drive a certain car. So I figured out how to earn the money to do that. I had a detail business and a power washing business and selling T-shirt business and selling gadgets and toys and lollipops. Anything I could sell to my classmates. So I always had that goal of like, what kind of car can I get? Luckily, my first car my grandmother bought me. But from there, it was always like, how do I get that next car? And I figured out how much money you have to make to do that. So I figured out, like, if I need to get X dollars, you got to make it to get that car. And I had the car on my wall each time. So, pretty much achieved every car I've ever wanted except for one, which is still on my list, was a Pagani. So we got to get there in a couple of years.
Yes, sir. Whether that be for lack of wisdom or lack of experience, what is one thing that you believed in when you first started out that you later down the line found out not to be true regarding business?
That's a good question. I would say because someone went to some fancy school and is super smart, that they would be more successful than me. I went to school, but I didn't go to the top schools. I wasn't top in my class. I just figured out that it's all about persistence and grind and networking. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. The smartest people in the world are often not the most successful. So, more about just if I work harder than everyone else, the odds of me being more successful than others is that much greater. Also, if you come up with crazy ideas and everyone says it won't work, it's a good thing because no one else is going to try it because they all say it's not going to work. So, the harder you work at it, crazier the ideas, the more successful you become if you just grind it out.
What advice would you have for like a 20-year-old that just started out and I want to get to the position that you're in?
I would say, grind. Never be afraid to network, meet people, and ask questions of people all the time. Find out how they were successful, exactly what you're doing. Volunteer your time. Everyone's so focused on, I want to make money. You can't focus on money. You got to focus on the end result. Like the more you work, the more you perfect your art. Whatever it is, like being the best at something, money will come. Everyone wants to get that deal, wants to get the money. I worked in the music business as my first career, and every artist like, I want a record deal. And I worked for a guy who said, if you just keep performing, the record deal will come. If you look for the money, it's not going to come. It's like dating. If you're looking for a date, you're looking for a girlfriend, it's not going to happen. It happens when you're not looking. So just focus on being the best version of yourself and work harder than everybody else. And you may fail. I failed many times. So failure is a good thing. People want to, especially in today's age of social media, that everyone looks like a baller. Well, first of all, 90% of the ballers ain't ballers. Especially in the car world, you drive around this town and all these guys have fast, flashy cars. Generally doesn't mean they have any money. They might have a big car payment and live in an apartment. So it's just weeding through the clutter and figuring out what is true success. True success is not about money. True success is about building businesses where you can give back, where you can have lots of people working with you, help them grow their families. We can do events like tonight, give back to children who have cancer. That's the real deal right there. The rest of the stuff is flash. Helping kids get through beating cancer is more than anything else we could ever do. So that's what it's about.
And then what was that? When did you realize you hit financial freedom?
When I realized I could go work for myself. I actually didn't. I was an entrepreneur when I was really young, and then after I went to college and law school, I went to work for companies because I was making good money, and then I got married and I had a mortgage, and I was like, this is great. Until I realized I had no control of my destiny. So once I figured out I could take that entrepreneurial spirit and do it on my own, that's when the world changed for me. Because if you're spending 20 hours a day working for somebody else, you might get a good salary and a nice bonus, but why not spend 20 hours a day working for yourself? And at some point, when you hit it, it's going to be worth way more to you because it's all you. You build something of value. You build something that creates value. It's not just about working for somebody else and get a paycheck.
Outside of yourself, who was the first person to truly believe in you, and what is one piece of advice you've learned from them?
I would say, besides myself, I would say there's only one person you can count on, and that's yourself. But my parents and my grandparents were all good role models, and always encouraged me to do what I wanted to do, not what they wanted to do. A lot of parents you should be a lawyer because I'm a lawyer. You should be working my business because I'm a builder, or I'm a tile layer, or I'm a whatever. Rather than tell the kids you should do what you want to do, whatever you think is anything's possible. You want to be an artist. You want to be. You saw that tonight. All these kids' dreams. That's what parents should be encouraging their kids to do. Unfortunately, a lot of parents just want to have their kid do what they did or what they didn't do and make up for it. But people should be free to pursue their dreams and passions, and that's the main thing. This is a culmination. I was like, I have a passion for cars. Well, I was able to build my business around my passion. And if you're happy coming to work every day, it's a lot easier than anything else.
And one last question before you have to head out. What is that?
Last one's $100.
I'll send a wire through later. But what was that one? Do you read books?
Oh yeah.
So how important is it to
Not
read
lately,
books? How important is it to read books about mindset?
I'm a firm believer in mindset, but I'm not a huge fan of all these mastermind books and self-help stuff. Again, it comes down to the mindset is what you create, and I don't need a guru to tell me that. I need to spend the time on myself, just grinding it out. I use that word all the time. You can go to 20 different gurus and read 500 different books. If you spend your whole life reading other people's books about how they did it, you're never going to figure it out yourself. Your mindset should be your mindset, and grind and networking and honesty, and just coming up with ideas and keep working it. There's some great books out there. There's some great conferences. There's all these different things. Some people spend 10 years trying to adopt something someone else taught you versus spending time on yourself. You're going to save a lot of money and a lot of time. So no discount on books. Learning across lots of different things, in books or on YouTube or whatever is great. But everyone's searching for a guru, and I feel like you should be your own guru.
Well, y'all, this was one of the best videos we did to date. A huge thank you for John and the Motor Uncle for inviting us out. Also, thank you for the National Cancer Foundation for sponsoring this event. The 12 brave kids that was diagnosed with cancer. They're all brave warriors. I really appreciate them, and it's just amazing how we could be here at this event. Beautiful view at nighttime, beautiful event at nighttime. It was just an amazing event.
So yeah, beautiful event. Huge shout out to Brad, Aaron, the two football players we interviewed. Huge shout out to David and all the other people we interviewed. Very blessed to be a part of this opportunity, and no other person I'd want to do it with than my best friend. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. hit those post noties, and we'll be back soon.
Please content coming this week, so it's exciting. You know, like you said, like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what your favorite car was today, and we'll see y'all later.